welcome to the Nigeria election situation room for our special coverage of the governorship election in Osun State, Southwest Nigeria. That election holds today. I am Imoni Amarire, and with me is...
I'm Nancy Naji. Good morning and welcome to the program.
1,906,390 voters out of a total registered of 2,339,233 voters are about now heading to the polls across 30 local government areas, 322 electoral wards, and 3,763 polling units of Osun State. And their task is to elect their governor for the next 4 years. It is a governorship election that has great significance well beyond the boundaries of Osun State.
Officially, incumbent Governor Demola Adeleke of the Accord Party is seeking another term with a crowded field of 14 challenges. The contest has shaped up as a major test of political strength, electoral credibility, and voter confidence. Osun's electoral history makes the stakes even higher. The state has witnessed fiercely contested elections and prolonged post-election litigation in the past, making the conduct of this poll and the willingness of contestants to accept its outcome particularly important.
Although there are 15 candidates on the ballot for today's election, the contest is seen as a three-horse race. 3 of the 15 candidates have already withdrawn from the race and thrown their hats with 2 of the front runners. While the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, has endorsed and thrown his weight behind the All Progressives Congress, APC candidate, candidates of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Allied People's Movement, APM, on Thursday endorsed the incumbent governor, who is a candidate of the Accord Party. Now, these has effectively left only 12 contestants in the swift stakes.
The numbers make this a fascinating contest. In 2022, Adeleke defeated Gboyega Oyetola by just 28,344 votes. Today, 2,339,233 voters are registered, while 1,906,390 PVCs have been collected. In an election this close, every polling unit, every ward, and every legitimate vote could make the difference. But if there's any other major concern, security, more than 15,000 police personnel have been deployed across the state. Political violence, vote buying, intimidation, and the conduct of security agencies remain issues to watch. The challenge is clear. Protect the voters, protect the process, and protect the credibility of the election.
Osun 2026 is a big issue. It is a test of incumbency, political structures, opposition unity, and the mood of the Southwest. Can Adeleke retain the state? Can APC make a comeback? Can the ADC spring a surprise? And what will the result tell us about the emerging battle lines for 2027?
And of course, today, the politicians step aside and the voters take the center stage from Oshogbo to Ede, Ilesha to Ile-Ife, Iwo to Ikire. The people have the final word. The campaigns are over. The ballots, of course, will be out after these elections. The decision is now in the hands of the people. Osun decides today. In just a few, perhaps we're going to be seeing things kicking off
in a few minutes.
Yes, in terms of preparation and all of that. But everyone is watching.
Well, let's reflect a bit. The run-up to this election has been marked by violence, intimidation, and a whole lot of drama. This has prompted critical stakeholders, including the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to appeal for peace and a free, fair, and credible exercise. The nation appears to be holding its breath with trepidation just because of a state governorship election. As a result of the many vested internal and external interests that are involved. Will politicians in Osun State display enough maturity and decorum to prove skeptics and naysayers wrong? We wait and see.
We really wait and see. And as should people go to vote today, the critical questions are just straightforward. Will INEC deliver a credible and transparent election? That question continues even as we march towards 2027 elections. Will security agencies remain neutral and professional? Will political actors respect the rules? And above all, will the votes of the people of Osun truly determine who governs them for the next 4 years?
That is precisely the big question.
The big question.
All right, so we will be bringing you all the analysis. Of course, we have our team of reporters on the ground in Osun State, across the 30 local governments of the state, and we'll be giving you a blow-by-blow account of how proceedings go there. Of course, we also will be watching the regulatory agencies, talking about INEC, the police, the civil defense forces, in fact, all the security forces that are now in Osun State, and we'll be giving you the account of how all of this is going to go.
All right, so we have a lot to chew. Between now and the next 3 hours, yours sincerely, me and you will be here together. So we'll be attacking for the next 3 hours till about 11 a.m. at today. But I think we should take a break so that we can get in. Our guest is Osun decides today. 1.9 million PVCs have been collected. The question now is that how many of those 1.9 million will come out to vote? I hope we don't see a situation of about 20% turnout or 23% like previous
of course,
elections.
The last standalone election in Ekiti was just barely over 30 or 33% voter turnout. And all of that. We look forward to seeing a situation where it will be remarkably different in Osun State.
Okay. All right. Perhaps we should take a break. And when we return, we'll delve into the conversation. We have so much to chew. Our reporters are definitely on ground. We'll be taking all of that when we come back from the break. Don't just touch that dial. You can also join us live on YouTube, Africa Independent Television. We'll be right back.
All right, thank you so much for staying with us. Our coverage of the Osun governorship elections is a special programming to capture every second, every minute of what will go down today in the Osun governorship election. And of course, as usual, we have with us in the studio our analysts who will be giving perspectives to the issues as they are thrown up. Right here in the studio with us is Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo is, of course, the Executive Director of Oja Development Consult. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good morning, Nigerians.
Of course, Jide is an experienced election observer. Are you an observer or a monitor?
Observer.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Right.
Then we have Seyi Awojulugbe. She's a research analyst at CDD. Welcome to the program.
CDD, Center for Democracy and
Development. Yes.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Good to have you here. I'm sure this is the first time you are joining us on election analysis.
I think I've been on one session in Edo, I think for the Edo election.
Okay.
I think I was with the AIT.
Welcome.
Okay, but
Good
with
to
us.
have you back.
Yeah,
But
with
we
you.
don't.
It's the first time.
With the team, but with both of us, yes.
All right. We did tell you all the preparations that have gone into today's election. This is the D-Day. But before now, all the logistics and other issues about this election have been on the front foot. As at Thursday and Friday, the Independent National Electoral Commission had distributed both sensitive and non-sensitive materials to all the polling units across the state. Let's take that report.
Of Nigerian headquarters in Osogbo, it will be recalled that INEC had announced a slight delay in the printing of ballot papers following a court ruling directing the commission to include the SDP on the ballot, necessitating the reprinting of some sensitive materials. In the presence of party agents, observers, and journalists, the Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Oluwatoyin Babalola signed the EC 8-bay result sheet for the state's 332 wards. He explained that the distribution will commence with the farthest local government area, Ifetedo, Atakumasa East, and Ife South.
For the sake of transparency, I believe when we deploy materials to the local governments, yes, the materials are okay, but I intend to sign every RA result sheet one by one. You know, it's not possible at this time for me to sign 3,763 result sheets. But for transparency and the integrity of the process, I will sign all the RA.
Party agents and election observers monitor the exercise, commended the INEC for the prompt printing of the affected materials.
From what we have seen so far is that INEC has decided to be very, very, tactical with the deployment of the material, starting from local government that are very, very far and had to reach so that they can take off early, and those local government will get the materials in good time, because these materials will go to the registration area centers. Then from the registration area centers, they will be deployed to the polling unit.
We've been informed that the ballot papers have unique colors depending on local government. We're waiting to see what will come up from that. What's important to us is that the materials are here and they are sealed.
Our situation so far, I can say that we are here and we saw the arrival of the materials and distribution of these materials into various local government of the state.
Meanwhile, the sensitive materials were transported under the tight security to the various local government areas.
All right, welcome back to the program. In case you're just joining us, it's still the Osun Decides. As a word, I think this is the last off-cycle election before 2027. So it's very important that we, look at the way of travel for this Osun election. Like we mentioned earlier on, our guests are already with us, and let's start off our discussion on the basis of, and I'll start with Jide Ojo. If you strip away party colors, for example, you strip away the personalities, you strip away perhaps even 2027 speculation, as it were, what do you think is the single biggest question that Osun voters are going to be answering today? Because I've also been following the trend, listening to people on the ground. What do you think they'll be answering today?
The biggest question is continuity or change. Now, that's basically the question. Do we continue with the incumbent or we change the incumbent? And that's as every voter goes to the poll, it's either endorsing continuity or demanding for change. And that's actually fair in democracy, provided that the whole thing will not be stage managed and orchestrated in favor or against any of the 15 candidates.
But if you say change, because I've also listened, like I mentioned, to some Osun people, the change...
I'm one of them anyway.
Oh, okay, it's your state. Oh, okay. All right, so it's good that you're even here. So if you talk about the issue of change from what to what? Because there's this school of thought that, okay, if they are changing, should they change? We have 3 front runners, as it were. I'll come back to that if we have time. 3 front runners, Accord and APC, there's been this power tussle and all of that. ADC, okay. So we'll come back to that a bit. We're seeing visuals right now of the governor, Ademola Adeleke, trying to vote in Ede. Live pictures that you're seeing right now in Ede. Let's just pause a bit and see. That's him definitely coming out of the bus, as it were, which is usual scintillating
signature hats.
Yes, the signature hat.
Right.
And all the razzmatazz that follows him. So you can see a lot of people are already, shouting and all of that.
Again, we may need to come back to this, whether this is allowed
exactly
in an electoral process
on the
that
election
an
day.
Individual, whether it's incumbent or not, goes to vote, and this is happening all around him or her, as it were. I mean, I thought that this ought to be a very solemn exercise. He goes, he queues or stays on the queue with all the other voters, casts his votes, and leaves very quietly.
No, we are far from Nigeria. I recall under Muhammadu Buhari, even when he voted, he showed everybody.
Yes, he showed.
This is how I voted for myself.
And of course,
which is not
was
right.
condemned by
It wasn't right. It wasn't right. But politicians, it is what it is with them. It's about show of solidarity. It shows that they are very popular with their constituents, and I think either the electoral act or the guidelines states that you are not allowed, your security aides should not even go with you when you are going to vote. That they should remain at a distance, only you should go. But not so therefore,
at least not in uniform.
Yes, no, even they are not supposed to accompany you, to the polling, to the point of voting. The moment you moved to queue, they should stay at a distance, just watch, keeping protection around you. But it is what it is.
Should we be satisfied with just it is what it is, or because we've not seen also heavy sanctions?
Have you seen the president vote?
Yeah, but does that make it right?
Where do you begin this action? That's the question. So if you begin with the president showing the example, then you can say, follow the cue of the president. But situations where you see the president going and about 200 people are shielding him and, you see multitudes of, even people who do not have anything, former commissioners, current commissioners, they all gather. I think it's
Even
just
persons whose polling units are not the same as
I
the
said
governor. of the-
former aides will come around. You know, it's a kind of notice me. You know, I'm still loyal, sir. You know, I'm still loyal. So it's not allowed by the law, but convention, customs, you know, and I don't think one should actually make every word of this, because no matter how much you try, they will tell you they have not broken any law. It will have been different if he wears yellow cap or something emblematic of a court, because that is outrightly condemned by the law.
on the basis of which
there should be no more
the
campaign.
SDP candidate in those days the election was challenged.
Yes, was challenged at that time. So if you had won a yellow cap or anything that signifies the party insignia, party emblem, then perhaps it will. And incidentally, his elder brother, the first executive governor of Osun State, Isiaka Adeleke, who died some years ago as a serving senator, to which he was now elected to replace, also have a signature cap. In that time, we call him Sherubawan. He has this signature cap that, you know, is out of this world. I don't know who copies from each other, whether President Bola Tinubu, because Tinubu also actually started his signal cap in 1999 when he was contesting, and he has maintained consistency. Today, it's emblematic of APC and solidarity with Tinubu camp. So politicians do things razzmatazz to create a kind of USP, unique selling point, so that when you know them, you know where the loyalty of those who identifies with them, where it lies.
Sheyi, let's bring you into this discussion. What do you think?
Well, I certainly agree with what he has said. And it's really is, it's something that you can see across the different politicians from the different political parties. And I once made an analysis, or did an analysis, that in Abuja, you can tell which tribe or which cultural or ethnic group is currently in power. So during the Goodluck Jonathan administration, you had everybody going around Abuja with the hats, with the Niger Delta hats.
The senator, the
Exactly.
senator.
And then when it was the Muhammadu Buhari time, of course you had people change over, and you had the Babariga and the Fulani cap. And now you can see that it's the broken chain Tinubu insignia cap. And so when the next person comes in, it's going to be, it's sort of like a brand, sort of political branding for them.
But my concern here is this crowd of persons who have accompanied the governor to the polling booth. Can this continue, or should this continue? Because, like Jide said, it has almost become a practice, a tradition for people to want to identify openly with a candidate. Are we likely to see this kind of crowd accompany the other candidates to their polling units when they vote?
Well, some of the candidates, especially the APC candidates, I would not be surprised if I also see a crowd accompanying. Does it make it right? No, it is not. However, it also gives credence to the argument that sometimes the incumbents uses the perks of office to intimidate the other participants or the other opponents in an election. And of course, you know that is against the law, to sort of use the power of the incumbency to in any way or form impact the electoral process, because in all, at the end of the day, the goal is a free and fair election. And what makes it fair, or what makes it free, is that it is free of encumbrances and any show of might that might intimidate or cause panic, you know, because you have some cases in Nigeria where people would say, well, any vote for the opponent is a wasted vote because the incumbent will win. And so that is what has come to play in Nigeria, where when anyone is elected into office, most of them, it's a given that they would spend 8 years in office. Meanwhile, it's just 4 years. Really, a term is 4 years. But it has come to be expected, not that it is right, that in the middle of that 8 years, at the 4-year mark, the power of incumbency comes into play, and you have the person.
In every election, there are the undecided voters, even up to the last minute. Is there a possibility that a show like this could actually persuade some undecided voters who are still at home, for instance, watching television and all of that, to say, oh, could this really influence them to go out there to either go and vote or for candidate A or for candidate B?
Well, that is where political branding comes into play. Not that I am holding brief for anyone, but at the end of the day, politicians are targeting the block of undecided voters because really they can get a sense of who are their loyalists and who are for them. The tussle on election day is who gets the biggest grab of the undecided voters. And I will take you back to an election data analysis that STERS Data did ahead of the 2023 election, where they said, well, you already know how many people were going to vote for Peter Obi of the Labour Party. They could get a sense of how many people were going to vote for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And then the huge block of undecided voters who they said could greatly influence the election depending on where they swing. And so this show of incumbency, this show of we are already the majority, so you either go with the majority or you waste your vote. So at the end of the day, on political day, this show of we are the majority, we already have this huge following, is targeted at getting the undecided voters onto their side.
You know, if we just that video now, of course, Governor Adeleke voting, he's even seemingly finding it difficult to get
to the polling point.
Yes, get to the polling point. If you can understand Yoruba, you would have been listening to Eshino, go, that is make way, and all of that. And I'm actually wondering how this will really impact, today's elections, because from what we're seeing that a lot of people, even by this time, at the polling unit where he's voting. And don't forget, this is his own constituency, isn't it? It's from there. I see what just take a look at what I'm saying. We can't even see the governor is even
finding it difficult to get.
I think they even carried him over. Did you just see that?
No.
Did you just see that? I think I saw whether his aides or so carry him over the crowd. So this is just what we're saying. Jide, how do you interpret this? Because for me, this is... and the media is also even finding it difficult to get in there.
You see, that's one of the perks of office. If he loses this election, in the next round of election, if he contests, you will not see this horse of people. They are there today. Almost all the media in Osun wants to cover the governor vote.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to get the best shot, the best video, film. So it also adds to why people always want to be in a position of power. And I'm not surprised, just that the crowd control there is very poor.
So
the security agents should have been the one to cordon off and said, allow His Excellency to have unfettered access to the, maintain some distance, because they are even putting his life at risk. They are putting his life at risk. How can you be rubbing shoulder with an incumbent governor in his polling unit as a sign? I mean, it's just because we have not had a high level of assassination in Nigeria. If you are politically, look at what just happened to Donald Trump. Just a threat about his life, he had to switch Air Force One last week because of the Iranian threat. They had to
alleged Iranian threat.
Well, that was what was in the media space.
Yes, but
what I'm telling you is that just that there is a threat. They have to switch. It's very uncommon for you to have the US president changing his aircraft in order to sell a dummy to his enemy. But in this situation where you have people who possibly have no business in that polling unit, even having
Bodily contact.
body contact with the governor. While it may be perceived as a show of love, it also carries some security risk, because if anything happens there, who do you want? And I think I blame the security aides for not doing their work professionally. The media should have given some, they should have maintained some distance. The voters who are on queue with him should have maintained some distance. If he wants to show humility by queuing, we should see him taking a long shot of him queuing, but not to the extent that even where he stands to collect his ballot paper, you are seeing more than necessary crowd of people around him. But what do I know? Politicians love adulation. They like flattery. They want to show that they are the next big thing after the birth of Christ. And so it's all fair to them. See how my people, and give it to other people. They are so politically aware. I was saying on one media station yesterday, this Adeleke has produced the most sophisticated political dynasty in Nigeria, by my own reckoning. Why did I say so? Their father was Second Republic senator. The elder brother, Isiaka, was the first executive governor of Osun State. And thereafter, during this Fourth Republic, he contested, I think it was on his second term as a senator when he died. Then Demola took over as a compensation that, okay, your brother died in the course of serving this country. So he won the primaries and served out the remainder of his brother's tenure. And then that was about 2016, 2017. Then he contested for governor, lost by the narrowest of margin, about 300 and something votes in 2018. I was live in Osun at that time. Then, in fact, at that time, he also suffered similar persecution as you are saying. They arrested the principal of his secondary school. They said he doctored, he forged his result, he didn't have the requisites. All manner of things were used against him. Then he went abroad, came back, and contested 2022 and defeated the incumbent. So, two from the same family, father and two children, senators, father and two children, father a senator, two children, siblings of the same family, siblings being governor. Saraki is the closest to that. But in the Saraki's case, father was a senator, two of his children were also senators. One of them ended up being a governor.
And the Senate president.
And president of the Senate. But you didn't have two of them being governor. You know, Gbemi Saraki wanted to be governor under ACPN, but lost out. And since that time, she has not contested anything. So when you look at political dynasty, and when you look at voter turnout, in Eden, it's always, they always have a block vote. They always have a block vote. You will be surprised that other people may vote till 7 p.m. even if voting closes at 2:30, because they will ensure, they know that that's the home advantage they can get, given the fact that the three frontline candidates in this election are from the same senatorial zone. Amber is from Ikire, Osun West. Demola is from Osun West. Najim Salam is from Osun West, Ejigbo. So they are all going to be shopping for 25% in the Osun East and Osun Central. But whoever has more home advantage, and when you look at the voting population, Ede's voting population is ranks about next or second next to that of Osun.
We may have to cut in here because we have one of our correspondents. Right, conducting an interview right there in at the voting point.
And go to their various polling booths, and as we have voted peacefully, you can see there's no intimidation of any kind. I'm using this opportunity to call upon all indigenes, all Osun indigenes, to please troop out en masse and come and exercise their franchise. It's their civic duty. If you're watching me,
All right, let's get back to the studio here. Seyi, this is, let's get back to that chaotic situation that we saw. Now, given the security situation in Osun State, prior to today's election, this might look very dangerous, even for the governor himself, and indeed for any other voter. Anything could have happened there.
Well, it's not I don't think it's a new thing to see a crowd around people, especially incumbents or perceived political heavyweights when they go out to the polling unit. But one thing that also strikes me, as we mentioned earlier, this is Muhammadu Buhari situation where he displayed his ballot sheet. As the governor was voting, from the visuals, I saw cameramen who were taking pictures as he was thumb printing on his ballot paper, and then it begs the question: where is the secrecy in the voting process?
So about the idea of voter or education or enlightenment, because if like there's a cameraman taking shots of when the person is voting, doesn't that lead to, in terms of education, as to the manner and conduct of how to cover an election?
Of course.
And was that even done by an accredited media? That's another question.
Well, we can't tell because we're merely making conclusions from the shots we've seen here. So we can't tell if that person belonged to an accredited media organization. And speaking of voter education and even education and enlightenment for journalists in election coverage, INEC over the years and even civil society organizations have been speaking clearly on how the manner in which citizens should act when they get to their polling units and the manner in which media and journalists should act at polling units. Back in the days when it was a case of you accredit, you go back home and then you come back to vote, it was politicians themselves that started the campaign of stay and monitor your vote. You stay until the voting process is concluded, until the counting is concluded. Now, if this is a priority for politicians or for candidates participating in an election, you would see them championing the cause of proper manner of behavior, the proper behavior at polling units, whether for the electorates or for media organizations, right? But it is not a priority for them. It serves their purpose. It shows them, it projects the image that they want to the world. So they would allow it fly.
Jide, you were talking earlier before we went to that short interlude about the three candidates coming from the same senatorial district. What does that also tell us about how this race has been fought so far, if the three of them are from the same senatorial district? And I think I should also put in here, because if we're taking a look at the local governments in Osun State, that's about 30 or so, we're seeing that 10 biggest LGAs hold under half of INEC's register. What does it now say about the mid-sized councils that perhaps nobody is even thinking about? But they call it, I think, the swing voters in America. Swing vote. So what does it say about that? So two questions in one.
Well, how do I interpret this? The issue with Osun election basically is that it has always been very competitive. Incidentally, Osun West has been more at a disadvantage in terms of the senatorial zone that have produced governors in the past. Aside from Isiaka Adeleke, the elder brother to Demola, no other person from Osun West had been a governor before Demola came in 2022. Meanwhile, Osun Central has produced Onyolola 7 years, Baba Bisa Akande 4 years, that's 11 years. And Osun East has produced Aregbesola from Ilesha 8 years, 2 consecutive terms. One thing about Osun election is very unpredictable. Aregbesola has been the only governor that won 2 consecutive elections. Performance in their own eyes, if the sentiment is against you, there is no, even bring all the money in central bank, they will not vote for you. It's
They're talking of vote buying now.
It's about sentiment. If the mood of the people is against you,
Whether you give them money or
only
not.
God can save you in Osun. Bisi Akande did his level best with very little resources. He was one of the prudent manager of resources. But he lost in 2003 to APC, to PDP under Oyinlola. Do you get? Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola was paying half salary. But because he endeared himself to the people, he knows how to, he's like Fayose, he's a grassroots person. He will dance with you, he won 2 consecutive times. Oyetola came, was paying salary full. He did the whole salary, he did his level best to develop it with even little resources. Remember, as at that time under Buhari, where bailout was used to pay salary, there was no money. This guy prudently managed the resources, but sentiment against him. Oh, they cheated Ademola in 2018. We are going to avenge this time. It was that sentiment. Not because Oyetola did not perform. It was the fact that the perception was 2018 election was fixed for APC. And because when you see the narrowest of margin, the issue of inconclusive election, 7 polling units, how the role Omisore played in supporting and aiding the victory of APC. So people just had that sentiment that whether Oyetola perform or not, we don't want him. And that sentiment also is afloat now. You know, people perceived the APC candidate as from Oyetola, not even from President Tinubu. That, you know, there is somebody that said something to me. He said, Allah feyon, etulo meyon wa. You know, we don't want somebody, and he went and brought somebody else. Do you get the sentiment?
Yes.
Allah feyon, otulo muyon wa. We said we reject you. You that we rejected, you know what? I went and brought, because when you see the way that APC primary panned out, you know it was more like a coronation for Ambo. Whether that sentiment will work against him, whether it will work in his favor, is Osun electorate that will determine. But suffice to say that, you know, again, when you look at the dramatic persona in this election, a lot has changed in the last 4 years. There are those who worked for Ademola in 2022 who are no longer with him. People like even Francis Fadansi, they have made that statement about kill our court members. He was one of his staunch supporters 4 years ago. Yes, he worked for him in the election axis. Wale Oke, who is the DG of Ambo from Sauke, worked for him. Onyilola, that just recently said, I'm going to work for APC, also worked for Ademola Adeleke. There's a woman, Erarike, that very grassroots woman who sells balm and all of that. Today,
who sells what?
Erarike, she sells balm, something like balm. Very popular political figure in Osun.
So she's like a market woman.
Yeah, a trader.
A trader.
But very, also a grassroots politician.
Okay.
You know, even when Oyetola, who is from our senatorial district, was on the ballot, she didn't work for Oyetola in 2022. But today, she felt cheated by the Adeleke's family that there was no compensation given to her. I think she was actually advocating for compensation for her husband, that her husband should have been given political appointment, and that was not done. So this time around, she's working against. So the dynamics have really changed. Whether this will now essentially impacted on the voting pattern, because now you see that Accord does not have any state governor. Ademola is the first state governor Accord will produce, and it's not by election, but by defection. So, but he's been able to establish them to the grassroots level and all of that. But the sentiment again is that there is a federal might that is trying to aid victory for APC. Whether that perception is also valid or not, we have seen what played out in the lead up to this election. And these are things, variables, factors that will play out in determining the ultimate victory in this election. Perception is APC is using federal might. The people reference the attempt to deregister a Accord party among the 5 that Justice Peter Lifu on June 15 said should be deregistered before the Court of Appeal overruled and overturned that decision. They are pointing to the freezing of Osun State government accounts. They are pointing to the arrest of over 60 Accord members and bringing them to Abuja and Nasarawa State. They are talking about the lack of equal treatment to Francis Fandaonsi, who made that statement that if it were to be somebody from opposition, would the police have just invited him, or would they have gone to arrest and perhaps moving out of the state? So a lot of sentiments, but sentiments and politics are twin brothers. They go together. It's not so much about your performance. You may perform. And I always refer what happened in Ekiti. When John Kayode Fayemi was the governor between 2010 and 2014, he did his level best. There was no much resources. He built road, built hospital, built schools, did everything. But people were asking for stomach infrastructure. Say, you build road, you build hospital. Well, what about stomach infrastructure? And, fast forward, after losing to Fayose, 4 years after, he did provide that stomach infrastructure to get his second term. So, politicians and people, it's about what the mood is. The mood of the people, more or less, on the day like this, will swing the undecided voter. There are those who feel that Ademola, has done well for civil servants.
I'll have to interrupt you. The governor is speaking now. Let's take a listen.
So now, things are going on in Osun. I hope it stays that way. But I have it on authority information that there is one police officer that they brought to come and do an urgent job, the APC Osun, from Port Harcourt. They call his nickname London. He's here in Ede hiding. His own job is to come and destroy Ede and then avoid so that he can scare people, shooting, so that they will not vote. So I'm calling the Inspector General of Police to take note. I'm calling all the security agencies to take note. They should redeploy him. We don't want him in Osun. We don't want violence in Osun. All we want is free and fair election so that people can perform their civic duty. That's one. And 2, the pattern of voting should be from unit to ward and to local government. Not that they will take local government collation straight to state capital. That is not acceptable. That's a form of rigging. And I heard it on the authority that the APC have, trying to rig, have some fake ballot papers. I want Osun people to watch out for that too. And then we not accept. Well, we will not accept that in Osun. Right now, as I'm voting right now, I just received a call in Modakeke and Obagun that police is aiding them to tear gas them so that people can run away. And people are resolute. They just want to perform their civic duty. Let the security agency please be neutral and watch it. But I can assure you, at the end of the day, I have God on my side and I have my people on my side. I'm going to win this election.
You have just voted. The process has just been done.
Yeah.
What's your assessment?
I've already told you. I said so far so good. It's been peaceful. In my area here, I hope it's like that cut across. But it's not peaceful in Modakeke. And of course, in Obaoku, the police are aiding the APC to tear gas people so that, they would not vote. They detoxed, took the ballot box and ran away. So we have already reported this to the security agencies. I hope they do something so that they will not turn Osun State into war zone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Of Osun State, Demola Adeleke there, some very wide allegations there, unconfirmed. I mean, he himself is not sure of those. He said, I have been told or I heard. And all
I had a phone call. At least he made 3 allegations. The Modakeke on the police called London, calling the IG of police. Then also the allegation that APC is aiding some kind of vote buying elsewhere around the state. Sheyi, what's your view? Just like Imoni said, these are still unconfirmed.
The things that give root to these allegations or give some iota of credibility to these allegations, we saw it play out in the lead up to the election, where for the first time in election history in Nigeria, we have a separate commissioner of police for election matters in Osun State. And the IG himself said that they had to come up with that situation because you had political actors complaining about the conduct of the present Commissioner of Police in Osun State. And so the Commissioner of Police, CP Gotan, was asked to excuse or just step aside for this election period so that a neutral party can come into play. Now,
that's not new. I mean, Jide, you know this, that in most cases, particularly stand-alone elections, the police would ask the sitting police commissioner to step aside or move somewhere else and allow another police commissioner. And especially because the police commissioner who was there was accused by the ruling party in Osun State and the government of being partisan. You have to move him. Even INEC commissioners are sometimes moved out of those states for neutral, can't say neutral.
Neutrality. so at least that semblance of being unbiased.
Yes. So I'm saying that would have sown a seed of doubt, for instance, in the mind of the electorate. So if they hear that there is the police is aiding something somewhere or participating in one funny play, that seed of doubt has already been planted in the mind of the people. And especially also with the EFCC situation that happened where the state accounts were frozen days to the election.
One account, just one account.
Well, still there's a lot, but still there's a lot. Because
exactly.
Jide talked about sentiments earlier. The voter in Osun will not say just one. Like I said, let me speak your it's all it's everything. So the elite will say it's one, but they don't see it as one.
And of course, when the president would react in that statement, he said it was embarrassing. That was the word the president used. That it was embarrassing because any activity or any action by the EFCC would be interpreted as him giving the consent. Or, do you understand? So that's one arm of it. And it is not uncommon that politicians would make such allegations on election day. And of course, at the end of this election, we would, of course, have people who say they do not agree with the result of the election and they would go to court. Do you understand? So it is not uncommon that a politician or a political figure will make this kind of allegations. What is left at the end of the day is for stakeholders in the election, from the police, from
it's not uncommon, Sheyi. It's not common, but it doesn't make it right. I mean, should he not have a more holistic appraiser of the situation before? I mean, he has just voted. How many minutes into the exercise?
It was also just about
an hour into the exercise.
An hour. But isn't he also the chief security officer? So even whether he's voting or not, information would also be coming to him. So we should look at that too.
He did say two things. There is a personality he mentioned that has just come to Osun, and they are trying to cause chaos in Ede. And I said that yesterday on a media program. I said, politicians knew, they study Electoral Act. They know where there is violence is zero vote. So they will come to your stronghold, create chaos, so that you lose your support. And meanwhile, their own stronghold, they will protect it from any act of violence because they know this is how you have an inconclusive election. The moment you cause chaos, violence, people are scared away, INEC officials feel unsafe, and they said, we can't hold the election here. If it happens to be your own stronghold, you are the losing end. He mentioned Modakeke and Obagun. Obagun and Modakeke, Obagun, I think, is one of the Oribo Meje. Then the Modakeke is after Ife, or, they are side by side Ife. And we should not play it down because Accord has polling agents in all the over 3,000 units across the state. And perhaps the polling agent is the one that called the supervisor to say, here, we are being tear gassed. And he also mentioned the issue of skipping collation point. That he doesn't want a situation where at the end of the voting, you skip collation. There is supposed to be ward collation and local government collation before you get to state collation. That he doesn't want skipping of any of those levels of collation. Because what has also played out in some instances is that INEC will say because of insecurity, we cannot do,
and we go
so we move to Oshogbo. And in the course of that, a lot of things do happen. Don't forget, the sentiment is already sown that there is a federal might afloat in Oshun. Abayomi Shogunle, CP Abayomi Shogunle was the one that midwife Ekiti election.
Ekiti, exactly.
Yes.
But they have changed him to Etaifo, Samuel Etaifo, who is now midwifing the Oshun election. Then even INEC had had to change the resident electoral commissioner. Dr. Mutia Agboke was the immediate past resident electoral commissioner. He was moved to Ondo State. And Mrs. Oluwatoyin, what's her name? Oluwatoyin Babalola, former director of legal services. Now, the former resident electoral commissioner in Ondo State that midwife the election of Ayodatiwa is the one that has now been moved to Osun. So this swapping happens, but it's not so much about swapping. It's about, Governor Adeleke raised the issue of IRT.
Jide will come back a bit because we have correspondent
Olushola Adetuyan,
joining
who is
us
standing
right
by.
Yes.
He's right there in Ede.
In Ede. Olushola, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good morning.
Good morning. Of course, it will be right for us to say, give us the situation report. We've just heard from the governor. But what we can also see from here in the studio in Abuja is that there's so much chaos around there. So speak to us about what we're seeing.
All right, Nancy, thank you very much. It has been an eventful morning here in Ede. And I must tell you that the voters are all out en masse to cast their ballot as early as 7 a.m. when we got to Ede local government, Ede North local government in Osun State here. People were already out en masse to cast their ballot, to exercise their franchise. And just for a few minutes past 8 o'clock, the governor of Osun State, talking about Ademola Adeleke, who is the candidate of the Accord Party, arrived his polling unit in Ward 2, Unit 9 in Sagba, Abogunde polling unit here in the North Local Government area of the state, where he cast his ballot and he spoke to journalists on the exercise, and he expressed dissatisfaction over the conduct of some security operatives in some local governments where he has received no call from. He was not satisfied with the conduct of the security agencies. But here right now, we are still at this polling unit. The governor has left back to his house, to his residence, to monitor the exercise. The process is still on. People are on the queue. Right at this spot where I am, we have like 4 polling units around this location, and people are all out casting their ballot. But I must also tell you that at this particular polling unit, after the governor cast his ballot, the Beavers machine seems to be working so slow, and the people are apprehensive about this development. They are not happy about this development that the Beavers machine is very slow in its operation. Let me talk to some of the people who have cast their ballot this morning and let them tell us how they feel and how the exercise went. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Can we meet your full name?
I'm Elder Lawal Solomon Ademola from Sakba Bogunde Ward 2, Unit 9, Ede.
All right, so you have cast your ballots, yes or no?
I've casted my ballot.
What is the process? How is the process?
The process is okay. There is peace and there is no problem. And people are not bothering each other. So we did everything. Accordingly. So there is no wahala, no problem. And I believe that this is, if it's going like this, it will end well. Because we don't have some people who are hungry or something like that. People are just going peacefully, they are casting their vote, and when you cast your vote, they leave, and some who doesn't leave, they interchange with each other. So I believe that by the grace of God, everything will end well.
All right, how old are you, sir?
I'm 80.
80 years old?
Oh, yes.
What motivated you to come cast your ballot?
Because
you are aged and you still come out to cast your ballot. What motivated you?
Thank you very much. The present governor, who is there now, has contributed a lot to the state and he has done well. If we are going to I don't know.
All right. Don't let us go there because it seems that you'll be campaigning for the candidate of the Accord Party. We thank you very much for your time and wish you long life and prosperity to see more of this day. Your name again?
Lawal Solomon Ademola from Ede here.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Lawal. We just spoke to an 80-year-old man, Mr. Lawal, who just cast his ballot at this particular polling unit, Ward 2, Unit 9 in Sagba, in Eden North local government area of Osun State. And as we can see, the people are still coming out en masse to cast their ballot. We had an hectic time, interviewing the governor earlier on, looking at the fact that almost all the media houses in Nigeria and across the globe came out en masse here to catch a glimpse of the governor, to get the view of the governor about the process. And it was an hectic time. We had to do the interview for the second time before we could get this, and thank God we could do this once and for all. And I have with me another voter who has cast his ballot, and let's meet you. Your full name?
Okay, my name is...
Let me hold this.
Okay, guys. My name is Buhari Babatunde Adekola.
Yeah, Babatunde, you just cast his ballot?
Yes.
How will you describe the process?
Well, the electoral process is not quite rigorous, unlike the previous election we've had. The accreditation process and the voting is being done simultaneously. So it's not rigorous. I think the process is fair.
All right, we seem to see that the Beavers Market seems to be working so slow. What did you observe when you cast your ballot?
What I think is the Beavers is operating with network. Sometimes network might seems to be more technically for giving challenges technically. I think it's just a temporary issue. With time they will.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Mr. Babatunde. All right, before I forget, I will need to tell you that while on our way from Osogbo, the state capital, we saw that a lot of security agencies on ground, men of the Nigerian police, the NSCDC, the Nigerian Army, even the Department of the State Services, they are all here. They man strategic location, across those places we apply through before we get to Eden North local government area of Osun State. And I must tell you, it has been peaceful so far. The mobilization of security agencies have been very, very massive. The Nigerian police said they mobilized about 10,000 policemen. Also, the NSCDC, mobilized over 10,000 of its officers to monitor this election across the 32 local government areas of Osun State. Let us go in again. Let's monitor the exercise, and let's see how people are casting their ballots and casting their ballots. And at this place, we saw an avalanche of elderly people casting their ballots here, waiting to cast their votes. We have like 7 of them waiting and are waiting anxiously, to cast their ballot in their lifetime. Let me get one of them to talk to. They are waiting to get, their ballot. All right, good morning. Can we meet you, sir?
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Your full name?
My full name is Buhari Owolabi Fatai. Okay, have you cast your ballot?
No. It was this morning when I came here. They said we should come and sit down here, and we sat for a long period of time. Nobody even came to say, hey, what are you people doing over there? And we even show our card to them. They did not even mind us sitting down here. And according to the protocol, they said an elderly person, a disabled person, a pregnant woman, whenever they are here, they should allow them to cast their vote before anybody else. But in our own, it's quite different from what we have been seeing today. So we want you to correct it. I don't understand. So that is it.
So, but if does it mean that you want to be tired of going home if you are not given chance to cast your ballot as an elderly man?
If I leave here going home, that means they have deprived me from casting my vote. I'm not going to come back. By mere seeing me, you will see that I'm not all that healthy. I don't understand. But for the fact that I went to, perform my civics duty as a Nigerian, and that's the reason why you saw me sitting down. I think you get me. That is it. Yeah.
Your name again?
My name is Buhari Owolabi Fatai.
All right. So how old are you?
I'm 76
years old. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, you are welcome.
All right, Mr. Buhari Owolabi is 76 years old and is still waiting anxiously to cast his ballot. But we are told, according to the protocol of INEC, that the elderly should be given, the privilege, to cast their votes early and go back home to relax their head. But I think the reverse is the case here at this particular polling unit. And I think this is a wake-up call for the official of INEC, to give this elderly men, because they are here en masse. They are much, like I can see here, there are more than 50 of them that I can view with my eye here. So I think there's need for the officials of INEC to actually give them right to cast their ballots and right, to exercise their voting rights. Nancy.
From what we have seen so far in Monitor, I don't know. I haven't seen a semblance of any security official, even though we know that they are supposed to keep some kind of distance. But while we were taking a look at even the crowd that heralded the governor's voting, I haven't seen the presence of security officials. So it would be nice for you to speak to us about that.
You talked about seeing a lot of security officials on your way from Oshogbo to Eden North. But right there at that polling station, and considering the fact that that is the polling unit of the governor, we didn't see so many other, security agents, not even policemen. What is the security situation like there?
All right, before the governor arrived, I must tell you, we had a coaster bus full of DSS officers before the governor arrived at his polling unit. We have an avalanche of police officers too, like 30 of them at this particular location here. But immediately after the governor left and immediately after the governor cast his ballot, all of them left immediately. Most of them left. And now, at this particular polling unit of the governor, where he cast his ballot, we have like 3 police officers still remaining here. And normally, I think this is a protocol here in this particular election. This is a particular police officer sitting down here monitoring the exercise. She's monitoring the process from this particular angle, and also we have others manning strategic location also. So I think it has been fair. The security situation here has been fair, and people have conducted themselves in an orderly manner. So far so good. Before the arrival of the governor, the security operative was heightened. We have a lot of them here on ground, but immediately the governor left for his residence. Most of them left, and we still have some who were posted to this particular polling unit, and are the one opposite me here, still manning their polling units and doing their job, as expected of them.
Okay, Olushola, just before we let you go, have you noticed any form of vote trading, whether vote buying or so? Have you seen any money changing hands or something? Very quickly, 30 seconds.
So far, so good. We have not seen any acts of vote buying and selling because we have been battling with getting our shots, doing interviews, and arranging ourselves.
So that does
as
not
media
mean
personalities.
okay.
So far, so good. I've been here since 7 a.m., but I've not seen anyone. But that does not mean that it has not happened or it's not happening. But we have not noticed any acts of vote buying or vote trading.
I'm sure we'll come back to you within the course of the day. So I'll try and keep your eyes on that.
Thank you so much, Olushola Adutunya, our correspondent in Ede North, where the governor has just cast his vote. Right, so let's return to the studio here, and Sheyi, let's look at the figures. 2,339,233 registered voters. But at the end of the day, as at yesterday, INEC said 1,906,390 voters picked up their PVCs, which represents about 81.5% of the registered voters, which also means that 18.5% of them, representing 432,843, did not pick up their PVCs. Now, we saw the trend in other states' standalone elections. And in the general elections in Nigeria, we have never had anything beyond, over the years, beyond, say, 37% of registered voters. What are your expectations in the case of Osun?
Well, as we were discussing earlier, Osun election is always very competitive. Everyone remembers what happened in 2018 and what Jide was alluding to earlier about the insecurity and chaos about what the provision of the Electoral Act. So the numbers, yes, as regarding 81%, you know, of course, the people who pick up, it's not everybody who picks up the PVCs that would eventually go out to vote. And we saw as it played out in Ondo, where the voter turnout was around less than 30% of the eventual voter turnout. So it remains to be seen how Osun would play out today. Out of that 1.9 million, CDD was still running the numbers, but I'm sure that other CSOs would have cast their own analysis as to what percentage of voter turnout we should get. But from what has been seen so far, and even from the reports of our observers on the field, there's been high voter turnout. And in most cases, in over 60% of the centers, the polling units that we have monitored, the voting started on time. So that should encourage more people to come out and participate in the election.
Okay. We have Lanre Babalola, our correspondent, joining us from Oshogbo. Hello, Lanre. Good morning from Abuja. How is Oshogbo this morning?
Well, Nancy, thank you very much. Oshogbo is peace and calm. As you can see, presently I am at Ofatedo, polling unit 13, Dele Yesa. And you see there is massive turnout of people who have come out for voting. And also, if you can see, we have security agencies around parading up and down to ensure that we have a peaceful election. Contrary to expectation, the turnout is so large. We have both the old, the youth, even those who are living with disability, every one of them are here. And the election is going on simultaneously with accreditation and voting. The voting started around 7:30 here. And the polling unit agents were the people who were attended to first, after which they now started attending to people here. And the mood of the people is that of readiness to vote their desired candidates. So far everything is going on fine and good. And I have people here who have spoken with, who have testified that the election is going as expected. There is no violence. Thank God for the presence of the security agencies who have been going around to ensure that everything is moving on smooth and fine. I have somebody here who I want to talk to. Madam Kemi, please. Okay. Nancy, I can hear you.
Larry, with your interview.
I think that the...
Okay, I have somebody here who wants to give us how the election has been. So please, can we tell us your name?
My name is Adepoju Oluwakemi. from Accord Party, party agent, and everything is going well. There is no problem in our unit here, no problem at all. And we believe God will show His power.
Hold on. Okay, Nancy, I'm with you.
Yes, let's just continue. And you talked about security presence. You talked about massive turnout. Has the BVAS machine, has it been working well? Has there been technical glitches?
Yeah, the report from the INEC official here says there's no BVAS issue. Everything is working fast. There is no delay, there's no hitch, there's no technical problem. So far, everything is going as expected. So there is no problem with the BVAS, there's no problem with the accreditation, there is no problem with the voting. Everything is going as expected.
On the average, Larry, how many minutes do you think it takes to accredit a voter and then the entire voting process for that individual? Have you been able to
on the average, it depends. At times, it's about 1 minute, 2 minutes. So it's not something that takes long. 1 minute, 2 minutes, and people just get voting. There has not been any complaint about delay of any sort. So from this polling unit, everything is going, I think it's going well for now.
You talked about large turnout. I'm just wondering how you measure that kind of large turnout. Do you know how many people are registered to vote in that polling unit, and how you measure that?
Okay, the registered voter for this polling unit is 644. 644, even as pasted there, and confirmed by the INEC official here. And judging by that number and the turnout, you can see that we have almost 500 here who are here ready to vote.
I think, Larry, we might just need to come back to you in a bit. I can see that you are meandering your way around that. Do you want to speak to the elderly seated there? Because we went to there earlier on and we saw that the elderly people also came out to vote. So what's the situation there?
Are they being given priority?
Exactly. The elderly are equally here. The youth are here. The women are here. The men are here. Everyone is here. And I have with me here an elderly woman who will want to give us an update. Mommy, good morning, ma.
Good morning. Thank you.
Can we meet you, ma?
I'm Mary.
Mary what, ma?
I'm Mary Kikelomo.
So, ma, what has been your observation of everything that is going on here?
Right now, my special observation is that I've told them that they should provide about 2 tables, so that because the crowd is too much, for only 1 table to be answered. If they can provide 2 tables, it will be easier for them to, to go on with their this thing. Then their BVAS, I thought they have only 1. For all those plenty people is too small for it. They should have enough BVAS, and they should maintain that all the elderly people are arranged somewhere. Then all the rest, then they arrange them accordingly, so that we can go easily and then do our civic job and then go home. Like I've been here since 8 o'clock now. Just sat down. I don't know my hope.
Okay. Beyond your observation and what you want them to do going back, like what have you seen the election so far, the voting process, the voting process and everything? What is your observation about that?
Voting process is fair. It's fair right now, but we don't know of afternoon. But now it's fair. It's fair.
Okay. Ma, will you say with the presence of the security agencies here, you feel confident and you are okay, there's no fear of you to vote?
No. There's the security people, they maintain their duty. There's no bago now. But now everything is easy and quiet.
Okay, ma, you said no mago now. Is it that previously there has been some form of mago and
I can't say. That is a proverb. A proverb says that is a major proverb. And the last one that we did in the school before transferring here. So it's not straightforward. So now they are doing it easily and it's all right.
Okay, so that we can have a form of equal. I can hear you.
The mood of where you are, and it's very important to also state that where you are, Oshogbo has the largest electorate of about 167,074, if I'm not mistaken, among the 10 biggest local government areas. 167,000 plus people. So among the 10 biggest LGAs that produce the turnout, for that election. But Larry, we'll come back to you within the day. Let's come back here to the studio. Sheyi, should we go ahead with you? Because I see that, of course, you are writing a lot of stuff down. Larry raised a few issues, which massive turnout, and I wrote down massive turnout versus percentage rates. That when we're talking about massive turnout, like his analysis, 624 on the wall, he's seeing close to 500 people on the queue. But at the end of the day, when we say massive turnout, at the end, we are seeing 23%. The largest, I think, in Osho is 37 or 35% or thereabout. It doesn't really translate into high percentages. Then, secondly, what I just talked about, Oshogbo being the largest, having the largest electorate, and perhaps Jide may come in here later, being he's from Osun, where you have the likes of 10 LGAs like the Olorundas, the Iwo and Co in that state. So speak to this first, then we'll come back to Jide.
Yes, so I was just pulling up the figures for the turnout, and I say that voter turnout has not exactly been a problem in Osun State, right? Actually, in 2003 and 2014, the voter turnout exceeded 50%. It was 54% in 2003 and 2014. And the lowest voter turnout that Osun has seen in an election was in 2022, where it was 42%. And that is the lowest in the history of elections in Osun State. So apart from the pre-election incidents, the violent incidents that has happened that may scare some people away from voting, I don't think that low voter turnout is something that we should anticipate in the Osun election. At least the worst case scenario that we've seen was 42%, which was in 2022. And what the elderly woman was saying about the priority voting, and I know we mentioned it here in the studio, we've had our observers on the field as already, in fact, there was an argument between the pregnant women and the elderly in Ward 8, Unit 8, Commercial School, Borikpe local government, where there was an argument about who should be given priority to vote. Should it be the pregnant women or should it be the elderly? And a similar incident occurred in Gidiogbo, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, polling unit, Okerere 3 in Ife, where there was also an argument about who should be given priority to vote. And so this speaks to INEC's preparedness in an election. And as the elderly woman was saying in Oshogbo about them having just one BVAS machine, in Iwo, Isaleoba, Ward 4, Unit 2, voting has stopped for about an hour because there's no service on the BVAS machine. So all this speaks to INEC's preparedness for the election. What kind of training has the ad hoc staff been given ahead of the election?
All right, let's come to Jide quickly before, because our correspondence.
Yes, Jide, before you respond to the earlier question by Nancy, she just mentioned something. Voting stopped for an hour. In Iwo,
Isaleoba, Ward 4.
Is that really a problem for INEC, given that East Beavers works with network?
Let me,
How can, because that can happen in as many places as possible on a general election day.
This issue was flagged by some civil society organization. INEC Beavers works on Android software, and from what I gathered, it was Android 10 that was put on those beavers. Meanwhile, Android 10, from what I learned, has been rested, and it's now Android 17. So it's like a G2, G3, G4, G5 network.
That's 5G.
5G,
G5
and 5G.
Yes, 4G and 5G.
4G, 5G.
5G, yes.
So if you are supposed to be on 4G or 5G and you are on 2G, it will create problem. And I hope that is not going to be widespread, because that will be a kind of disenfranchisement. If it's running for upward of 1 hour, some people may get frustrated and go back and never come. And that may impact on voter turnout, because what I had expected INEC to have done pre this election is either upgrade the software on those beavers so that issues like this will possibly not be there, or that they will have had a pact with the telecom operators to please do the needful. If they have to fuel their mast, what's they called? The mast stations, because again, it's something that INEC is not in full control of. That's why they say election is a multi-stakeholder enterprise. INEC does not own any network. INEC is at the mercy of network owners. So if maybe vandalism or act of sabotage or whatever, there is no network. And you have said that there will be no use of incident form. And you have said that only beavers shall be used for accreditation. And the accreditation cannot be done except there is network. I don't know whether that actually is the sequence, because I thought the beavers can work without network. It's only when they want to transmit the PU results to the IRF that they may need the network. I'm not a master on technology. But if they need the technology to accredit, then they should have had a word and and have a pact with the telecom operators in Osun to please be at their best on this day.
All right, we're going to go to Ikire. Ikire, right, where Femi Amuson, our correspondent, is standing by. Femi, good morning. Good morning,
good morning, Amaruri.
Great. You are in Ikire. What is the situation on ground?
Now, the local government area of Ikire, and far so good. The people generally turned out on, and the most interesting election of towards
having glitches with your network, so that's the problem we're talking about here. No, yesterday I had a program and I had to link up with two of my guests in Osogbo virtually, and it was a problem.
In fact, the other media stations also complained.
Yes, it was a big problem.
Osogbo particularly was.
Now, I had another guest from London in the UK, and it was seamless.
Yes,
but I'm wondering why Osogbo should be having that network glitch, because Osogbo is a capital, and there's this thing about capitals having networks.
No, it's not in all cases. I was in Abia.
All right. Let's get back to Femi and see whether we can get him better now. Femi, are you still with us?
I'm with you.
Please go ahead. Give us the situation report.
Talking about the same of the exercise, where people turn out en masse, to exercise their franchise. And I also talked about the youth. They seem to be more in the they have been voting. They will be exercise, and they said that the reason why they are joining is they know that they must be part of their future, and the only way to be part of it is to choose the right leader. And also they are talking about a lot of sensitization going into that they must come out. Once you have your PVC, you must come out. And the in this particular, the agent also joined. They come out despite in terms of whatever is happening to them. Some are impaired, visually impaired, some having situation with their legs and the rest like that, but they still find way to come to exercise their franchise. I think in recent time this might be the highest number of voters that are turning out in every polling unit. I've been to Ward 9 Unit 004. I've been to Unit 9003, and right now I am at the ward at the unit polling unit where the APC governorship aspirant will be voting. And I can tell you the situation is still the same in terms of the turnout, and the orderliness of the exercise is something to talk about also. You see that despite the fact that the lines are very long, it's not one line. You have about 3-4 lines, very long, but people still take the pains to ensure that they join the line. And the INEC officials, they are also trying to be matured with it. They allow the elderly to come forward first, giving them special consideration. Same with physically challenged people. They are giving them preference to vote to exercise their franchise first. Once they do that, then others will come. But you can't get anyone protesting about what they are doing. So it has been very, very interesting here, and I think we are gradually getting there, and also there is no complaint of any sort, whether it is beaver or people cannot find their name. Once they
you mentioned that one of the candidates in this election is from Ikire, right? Has he come out to vote?
Yes. No, we are waiting for him. We learned that he will be coming out any moment from now, but he has not. And that is why we are at this polling unit where he's going to vote.
All right, that is where the APC candidate in this election is going to vote. That is his hometown, is that?
Yes. Yes, we are in his hometown now.
Okay. Okay, that's the APC candidates. All right, Femi, thank you.
That's the one Jide calls Ambo.
Yes, Ambo.
Ambo,
yes. That's Oyebamiji.
For his name.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ashwaju Muniruddin Bola Oyebamiji.
Oyebamiji.
So they just shorten it to Ambo.
Ambo. Okay. So let's come back. We've at least looked at the three areas, I think, Ede, Oshogbo, and Ikire. Earlier on, we were talking about the major voter blocks. And as a Shuman, I'd like you to give us some kind of perspectives. Because if you even take a look at historically, or even from the numbers that INEC have released in terms of registered voters, we're seeing voter blocks, the Ijesha Axis, the three Ife LGAs, the Olorundas, the other North, the other South, the Iwos, and co, giving us a very huge number. What does this say in terms of arithmetic for these elections, where the strong battlegrounds would be, and if they will continue as they have been historically, or that sentiment you talked about earlier on coming to play? In terms of you can perform, but at the end of the day, it's what they feel.
So most observer groups have identified about 12 to 13 battleground local government out of the 30. Irewole local government, which has its headquarters in Ikire, is one of them. Both the North and South, including Egbedore, are three that are also considered the Atakumosa North and South, Ilesha West and East, those are Nobokun, 5, Ijesha area, Oshun 3, Ife Central, Ife East, Ife North. Then Borikpe, the hometown of Oyetola, home local government, is actually from Iragbiji. So then Oshobo. Now let me tell you how this pans out, the juggernauts from these various places. Oyetola, the immediate past governor, is from Iragbiji, the headquarters of Borikpe local government. It's a cousin to President Bola Tinubu. President Bola Tinubu's ancestry is traced to...
Yes, he has his roots there.
Iragbiji.
Yes.
And he has even given us a Federal University of Agriculture located in Iragbiji. Yeah. Although the local government, that's where the Speaker of Osun State House of Assembly, Olawale Egbedun, Egbedun, is from Odo-Otin local government. Meanwhile, Olaguzo Onilola is also from Okuku in Odo-Otin local government. So it's also a kind of, if it comes to operation, deliver your local government. Onilola will not want to lose that because it's about trade negotiation. Mm-hmm. Then when you get to Ife, Omishore's factor, and then the fact that both Ambo and Adeleke chose their running mate from Ife, makes Ife, the 3 local governments in Ife, a battleground. Because you as a deputy governor or running mate, people want to see how you can deliver your local government. Then you see the Ijesha axis, Francis Fadansi, Wole Oke. Wole Oke has won his election, House of Reps election 5 times. He's one of the longest serving House of Reps member. And he's now the DG of Ambo Campaign Organization. So Francis Fadansi, I think is 3rd or 2nd time, either 3rd or 2nd time as a senator. And he's also a serving senator. So it makes Ijesha axis also very volatile.
That is the senator who made that in CGRA.
Yes, killed them here. So that's why, and they belong to Osun East. So the Francis Fadansi, Wole Oke, Omishore.
And they have huge numbers even in terms of voters. Yes, about 300 and something thousand.
They do.
Yes,
so,
Ijesha
axis. So, but what can neutralize Ambo movement in Ijesha is Aregbesola. Aregbesola is an Ijesha man and is very loved by his people, and it is expected that it will neutralize block votes for Ambo. Pelumi Olaje Ngbesi, the spokesperson for Imole Campaign Organization, is also from SLK. So it's a three powerful people trying to shop for votes around that. But you know the interesting thing about Ikire, Irewole local government headquarters, the DG of Imole Campaign Organization, Senator Lere Oyewumi, who is a grassroots politician, a former local government chairperson who has served 6 years as a local government chairperson, has served as House of Reps member, is a serving senator. We want to also show strength. The same hometown as the Ambo. So it's not going to be much of an own advantage for Ambo in Ikire and Ayedade local government. So they are going to split that vote, because if you say, yes, you want your son to be the governor, they will also say, Adeleke is also your son. He's also from the same senatorial district, and he has also done some things for the people. So it's going to, these are the major
the dynamics that will play out.
This juggernaut, of course, Ejigbo. In Ejigbo, you have Najeem Salam. That is his hometown. Yes. But there is also a powerful grassroots politician, Arebojid Alabi, former speaker of Osun State House of Assembly, former House of Reps member, double professor. In fact, I respect that man. He is a professor of political science and a professor of law. And he's a politician. And he's from Ejigbo. So they are going to split Ejigbo vote because I know Mojeed Alabi will not want to lose face in his hometown, being a chieftain of APC. And Najib Salami will say, I'm your son. Yeah. So you will see this whole dynamic. So you find that out of the 3 top candidates, it's only Adeleke that has home advantage.
Yes, I was coming to that, which was the question I asked at the beginning when you talked about continuity and change. And I asked what that change could mean in terms of Adeleke is saying continuity, but the other 2 candidates are saying, let's change the incumbent. But there are also sentiments that between Accord and APC, there seems to be some kind of rancor, as it were. Then the ADC variable is saying, oh, leave the 2 known people that we are the new boys in town. That's the ADC variable. That was why I asked that question earlier on.
But you see, unfortunately for the ADC candidate, I don't see him as a front runner. Apologies. He's a fine gentleman, 8 years as speaker, but that's the much he brings to the table. If not for the Aregbesola factor, is not somebody that I feel commands respect across the 3 senatorial zones. But Aregbesola's factor will be what is propelling. He may get some 50,000, 80,000, max 100,000. But those who can get like 300,000, 400,000 are the 2 Ambo and Adeleke. Okay. And the reason I'm saying that is when you even look at campaign, robust campaign, Najib Salami, Salam didn't have much resources to do a very robust campaign.
But there was a campaign, I think, last.
Yes, they just did just 5 days.
Atiku
and David Mark and Aregbe were there. Yeah. But you know, the visibility of it is not as that of Adeleke as incumbent, and then that of Ambo. Now, the federal might, which I said may play out, is that like issue of many communities, rural communities, that's where the deciding votes will come from. You see, media is in Oshogbo. Media is in the urban center. But where you will not have media and civil society are in the suburban environment where they can take advantage of the huge number.
You have just mentioned something, because we have a report from one of our correspondents who is in the rural community, where he says there's hardly there's light turnout, but it's somewhere around the Ijesha area where there's light turnout. There's hardly any what do you call it now?
Polling agents?
No, polling agents are there. Security.
No glitches.
There are no glitches, but there are no election observers.
Yeah, because the election observers want to stay safe. You don't want to go to Ijesha with all the killings that have happened in that place. No life insurance. If I were in Osho, I would not go to Ijesha. If they deploy me there, I will reject. I would rather stay in my hotel.
Okay, before I come to you, Sheyi,
no, you have some protection.
Before I come to you, Sheyi, so as to set the tone for whatever we are going to respond to, we are going to take that sound, that track up from Ijesha, where of course there is also a situation where the beavers is failing to capture elderly persons. Yes, let's take that. That's from Ijesha. And in addition to what you saw there, beavers not capturing the faces of the elderly, the report we have from there also is that there are 4 police officers and 1 civil defense personnel on ground at each of those police stations. So security appears to be very well guaranteed. But there are no election observers, no EFCC officials in more than 7 communities that were visited by our correspondent. So let's begin with the beavers failing to recognize or capture the elderly.
Yes.
This is not a fresh, a new development. We saw something similar in the last election in Ekiti.
Yes. And you know, we were discussing it earlier, and I was listing out some places where the beavers have stopped working. As we were having the conversation, I've received reports about 4 more places, 2 polling units in Ataoja, in Oshogbo, even in Ejigbo LGA, in Irepodo LGA, Elerin Ward, in Akesi, and even in Ishokon LGA, of places where beavers had stopped working or it was not even capturing the faces of the elderly. And it talks about, again, when INEC has budgeted for this election and you still have the beavers running on Android 10, when the world has moved on to Android 16 or something, you know, sometimes all it takes is just a simple software update to make sure that things work seamlessly. Of course, we have the part about the telcos, and when INEC is talking to all the stakeholders in an election, you know, was it in Ekiti or in Ondo, where there was the issue with the NURTW that they refused to move the sensitive materials on time. You know, these are all the things that, even though INEC is not the one who will carry out the activity, they have the oversight function, as we like to say in Nigeria. And so in the build up to an election, all these boxes ought to have been ticked to say, network is going to be an issue, this is going to be an issue, logistics is going to be an issue. Even in Olorunda Ward 8 polling unit 18, as at 9:30 a.m., INEC officials had not arrived as at 9:30 a.m. So when we talk about preparedness for an election, these are all the issues that would play out. And in all of these instances, voters were on ground, or voters are on ground. So giving credibility to the point I made earlier that voter turnout doesn't seem to be a problem in this election. Instead, what would be the problem, or what would be the glitch, is the process itself, and how, whether it encourages people to come out or stay back at home or leave the polling units in anger.
Jide, we've seen that Osun State so far has had a long and troubling history of elections, moving from perhaps ballot boxes to courtrooms, as it were. Do you think that are there semblances, or it's too early to call from what we're seeing so far? At least we've not heard any news about violence, because even prior to today, listening to some Osun residents, part of their worry was that, let this be peaceful, no violence. So speak to us about that.
Well, I just hope the incidents she has reeled out are not widespread, because this is a bellwether election, and after this is 2027. And I've said that I watched Professor Ajayi, Kunle Ajayi yesterday. He was saying, INEC is 100% ready, not even 99.5, 100% ready. Well, I always give the commission benefit of doubt, but if the incidences with beavers are not being able to accredit elderly people, if it's widespread, if issues around the beavers working because of network failure, if it's widespread, then this election will not end as it should, because it then means Those people, if they are long suffering and they are able to wait, even if it's 2:30, they will be attended to. That is the standard operating procedure, that anyone that is on queue before 2:30 will vote, even if it's 10 p.m. I remember in the election that brought in Buhari in 2015, in Abuja, people were still voting late in the night. So it's the standard operating procedure. But what is troubling, apart from BVAS issue, and I hope, and I'm emphatic about, I hope it's not widespread. Well, what is concerning is this suburban environment where elections are fixed, because desperate politicians usually take advantage of where there are no prying eyes of the media or civil society, and they can easily induce the security agencies to look the other way. And that's where you see, each figures coming out that may have no resemblance with the official turnout. But suffice to say that civil society organizations, the effort in time past was to coordinate and spread their deployments to cover all the polling units. Do you get? So that it's not just CDD is deploying 5,000 and there are, CDD is deploying 500, there are 3,000 plus polling units. Then in Osogbo, you see 5 accredited observer in one polling unit, but you get to Obokun West or Obokun, there is none, because so there is over concentration, and because the whole essence of observation is to enhance ballot integrity. So if you do not have eyes in every place and you are now extrapolating to arrive at your observation conclusion, it's not good enough. The other point that I need to flag is lack of priority voting. Is in the electoral guideline that pregnant women, elderly people, nursing mothers, persons with disabilities, all of these 4 pillars it's not either or. It's not about whether it's the elderly that should be given or pregnant women that it should be given. If you are a person with disability, if you are an elderly person, if you are a nursing mother, and if you are a pregnant woman, you are supposed to be accorded priority voting so that you make it stress-free for them. But situations where, and that's part of what INEC hasn't perfected. According to INEC guidelines, there shouldn't have been a polling unit where you have more than 500 voters. But I don't know whether they were able to do that batching, is it batching I want to call it, or rearrangement, because in the lead up to this election, there are new registered voters. And that means voting polling units will change for some people. So, assuming that you don't have more than 500 voters in every polling unit, you will not have situations where you have more than that, you should have deployed more than one BVAS, so that an assistant presiding officer can assist with the fast tracking of accreditation. Because this is technical knockout. When people are frustrated for over 1 hour, you are seated there, you've not had your breakfast, and your house is far. Don't also forget the impact of lockdown, or what they call restriction of movement, where you cannot easily move with your motorbikes, with your car, or even bicycle, because the police, I think, is out of laziness to always be restricting movement of people. I've had the privilege of observing elections across several countries, and it's
just a normal day. It's just a normal day.
It's
you can go to work
In
want to go and vote.
US, when I went there,
Why do you have to go as far as to the US? Go to our neighbors.
Even in Ghana.
here.
I was in
And,
Ghana in 2008.
it's a
And
work-
in US,
it's a
it's 12
working
hours.
day.
Do you know that the Zambia election that was just held
A few days
2 days
ago,
ago,
yes.
12 hours of voting.
Yes.
In Kenya, 12 hours of voting.
Yes.
In Nigeria, is 6 hours of voting. Yet, in 9:30, in Olomida, which is the city center, some polling units are yet to open, according to report. So, I just hope that these are isolated instances and not widespread.
Yet, sensitive and non-sensitive election materials were distributed as far back as
Yesterday, they
ago.
all got into the rack centers. And the rack center is the closest. In fact, some rack center is to the polling unit should be like this down the slope to this place.
Just about 200
Just
meters.
about 200 meters. So why do you always have this recurring decimal? And which is why, at the end of the day, INEC feels unjustifiably criticized by civil society when they talk down with how deploying so much resources. This election in Osun must have cost the federal government billions of naira. To the extent that they even have to go and reproduce the already printed ballot papers due to court ruling on July 22. And which has also affected, well, not necessarily affected, because according to them, they were able to get in the ballot paper within 36 hours. They got in late Thursday, and they were able to distribute to the polling units, to the rack centers before the end of close of business yesterday, which is actually the normal time. They should also do it. But this sticky issue of rack center to the polling unit is what needs to be investigated.
Okay. Now, there's another issue that we need to take a look at. And Jide alluded to it earlier on. The fact that 3 of the 15 cleared candidates for this election stepped down a few days to this election and endorsed other candidates. Let's say the 2 front runners, so to say. How much impact is that likely going to have on this election, on the outcome of this election, Sheyi?
Well, the issue of candidates stepping down is no longer new in Nigerian elections, up to the point that I always make the joke that whatever happens in real time also happens in the disinformation space, such that in some elections you would have fake news or false information circulating that social candidate X has stepped down and endorsed candidate B. So I think the electorates have now become immune to that, those kind of incidences, and so they even expect and anticipate it. And in some instances, you have cases where some people believe that people signify interest in political positions or in elections, just so to step down days to the election and to be rewarded with an appointment later on. So would say
but there are situations where some of these candidates are actually political heavyweights, which could mean a plus for the person they are endorsing or a minus for the other candidate, as the case may be. In this situation, we have the PDP candidate.
Yeah.
We have the APM candidate endorsing the Accord candidate, and we have the APGA candidate endorsing the APC candidate. From what you know of these 3 people, how much are they going to bring to the table for each of the candidates they have endorsed?
You and I know in Nigerian politics that some candidates are usually sponsored to be on the ballot to split someone else's votes. It's not new in Nigerian politics. And so, given that the incumbent governor, Governor Adeleke, defected from the PDP, of course, not because he wanted to, but because of the issues in the PDP, should we really be surprised that the PDP candidate steps down to endorse him? Really? So that's why I'm saying that
And it was cleared by the courts only a few days ago anyway.
A few days ago anyway. But really, even in the 2023 election, we've had gist about how some candidates were sponsored to remain on the ballot to split votes in certain strongholds of the opponent.
Well,
so this is what makes Nigerian politics
all
what
is
it
fair in
is.
politics.
Well, there are no
It's not supposed to be.
That's what the president
That needs to be taught.
No,
So it's the dynamic of Nigerian politics. And so ahead of 2027, when we sit down to make the permutations and all of that, these are the factors that we need to consider. It doesn't mean it is right, especially because when you consider the resources, as Jide was mentioning earlier, the resources it costs the Nigerian people, because it's not just the government.
Taxpayers' money.
It's taxpayers' money that is being used. So when you consider the resources, that money that has gone into printing, and for instance, in the case of the last off-cycle election, where you had INEC printing excess number of political parties, both on the ballot paper and the results sheet.
It's to avoid this kind of scenario.
That actually then puts the credibility of the election in question. Because when you have different figures on, and so I've spoken to the observers.
But it's the judiciary that should take the blame. You know, imagine on the 22nd, barely 2 weeks to an election, you are giving a verdict that a commission that had long printed the ballot paper should ensure. It then beggars believe why our judiciary is not advancing their minds to the implication of some of their judgments. Because if someone comes to say he's been unlawfully excluded, there are 150 days of campaign, and you are now reserving or giving judgments barely 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the law setting up, and this speaks also to those candidates purportedly withdrawing from the race. In the eye of the law, they never withdraw. They never did.
Because they could be on the
ballot. The law even gave you the timeline by which you can withdraw from the race. So if you miss that timeline, you have not withdrawn. When Obiora Sekwesili said she withdrew from the election of 2019, INEC said, we are not aware. You have 45 days to election. If you are now withdrawing 30 days to election, we've already printed the ballot paper. So of what significance is that? Now, you hear the G100 that are moving about now, saying that they want to have a coalition candidate against President Tinubu. And I've told those media agencies that have interviewed me, I said, for me to take them serious, the last day for withdrawal from this race is August 18. Anything you do after August 18,
which is 3 days from now.
So, and that's the day they want to have a summit. So if you now on August 19, you are now saying, Peter Obi has withdrawn from the race, or Atiku has withdrawn from the race, INEC will just say, we had, but we are not acting on that, because the window for you saw what happened in Bauchi 2 days ago, where Seyi Makinde has substituted the placeholder that was put there as his initial running mate, and putting former DG of Lawal Daura as the new running mate. That is allowed because this is the window for you to make that substitution. But once that substitution date closes, and a day after you are now announcing that you are stepping down, INEC is not aware. The law is not aware. You understand? And that is why there is need for beyond voter education or political education.
Do you think they don't know, or they are just taking advantage of the system?
They do.
Yeah. Do you think that they don't know?
They know.
You're saying that they don't know.
You know, it's about 10 minutes of fame.
Do you think they don't know?
Is it also an attempt at blackmailing the Electoral Commission to say, oh, we did this, we informed you, and you refused to?
Did you even see the case of SDP?
Yes.
Who was enlisted 2 days to the end of campaign?
Yes.
And I was wondering of what significance and impact. You have 150 days of campaign. You were not on the ballot. Now on the 48 hours to the close of campaign, you now said, I'm the SDP candidate. Well, it is within their right. But why I was talking about 5 minutes or 10 minutes of fame is that some politicians carry themselves with air of arrogance. Like me now, you say, did you know I contested against this president? I was a president. Some print it as they are a part of their complimentary
yes, yes.
As part of
Former presidential
candidate. God bless you.
In fact, we had a candidate like that. Was it in 2015 or?
I know one man.
The late Emmanuel Okereke, who will always tell you that he came fourth in that presidential.
Tom will tell you.
So it's a badge of honor.
It's a badge of honor for them. So
it should be a badge of honor because
did you know what Sahara reporter posted the day Arise TV did town hall this week and said Arise has breached electoral act by organizing town hall and ANC candidate is not
represented
on that list. But they have to.
We have had that.
You ask yourself, what impact, even if that person.
Okay.
In fact, there was one incident in Anambra, the election that brought in Obiano,
yes,
where we were served with a court order.
You see that?
Yeah. Right there, live on stage, while we're conducting.
I remember then Ngige was there, then the
they have to allow AAC to be on that on that town hall.
Okay, we have Funke Ogulolu, our correspondent, joining us from Ilesha. Good morning, Funke.
Everything is going on smoothly. And surprisingly, there are voters, high turn of voters.
Please go ahead, Funke, we can hear you.
Funke, are you still there? Okay, Funke Ogulolu is our correspondent. She's joining us from
the Ilesha Axis, yes, where she has been monitoring the elections, where she visited several communities where she says there are no election observers, there are no EFCC officials, but there is, of course, security present. That's good to note. So, Funke, are you still with us? Tell us exactly where you are in Ilesha.
Okay, I'm right here. I'm at Ajimoko High School. Ajimoko High School here, and we visited over 7 communities here. Here they have the voting strength of over 283 persons, and you can see behind me high voters turnout. This is what we've been experiencing since morning in the last 2 hours on the road. Voters came out to vote compared to the 2022 election. The voting strength here, when I asked in 2022, what was the voting strength? I think they have additional of more than 50 persons here as a new voters in this polling unit. Now, Nancy, if you can hear me clearly, what is so surprising here in this?
Oh, okay. Funke, are you still there?
We lost signal.
Okay, we've lost signals with Funke. You know, when that our earlier conversation was going on, when Mr. Ojo was speaking about the shenanigans by politicians, you know why I was smiling or laughing? And let me bring in my finance part into this. That why is it that during the political season or during this politics thing, and campaigns will soon start for 2027 elections?
Yeah, on the 19th.
Yes, on the 19th. Why is it that laws are not adhered to, as it were? For example, if a central bank says something, the stakeholders have to abide by it. You will not say something is wrong or the Securities and Exchange Commission or so. And we are still in the same country. You know, I've always also asked this question. For example, that you go to a bank, your ATM card expires today. You go to a bank today and you get a fresh ATM card. And still within this country, we are still having hiccups with our voter's card, isn't it? And your financial card transaction, your ATM card has a chip. Yeah. The voter's card I have does not have a chip. So that was why I was just trying to put all of that.
There's a chip on your voter's card. You may not see it.
Oh, there's a chip? Yeah. I haven't noticed it, but I'll take a look at it again. But what I'm trying to say in essence and why I smiled earlier on is that we're in one country, yet we are seeing 2 different scenarios or different scenarios are playing out. But there's something called best practice everywhere around the world. Sure. Yes. Mr. Joe, do you want to speak about that?
Let me shock you, Nancy. When I went to Egypt to observe election in 2014 under the auspices of African Union, I was surprised there were no voters' card. Do you know what they use? National ID card.
Exactly.
Same for Zimbabwe.
The moment you turn 18,
yes,
they send you notification that this is where you are going to vote. Egypt votes from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And do you know those who conduct election in Egypt? Judges. Judges. In Egypt, only classrooms are allowed. They conduct election inside classroom, well-lit classroom, not outside. And you sit, there is light. 9 p.m. is when votes will end, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 12 hours. And you don't need voters' card.
Did they have restricted movement?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's peculiar to Nigeria. In Ghana, there is no restriction of movement.
Even in Niger, Niger Republic, I've observed elections in Niger Republic. I've observed elections in Guinea Conakry, for instance. There are no restrictions of movement, and elections are conducted in public institutions.
That's
only.
what I'm saying. In Ghana,
hospitals, fire service stations, primary schools, secondary schools. This is and election materials are delivered to police stations and traditional rulers'
palaces. Let me shock you. In Ghana, 2008, when I went there to observe under Carter Center, you know what shocks me most? That one, they have early voting. So people like us who are going to be busy on elections, we will have voted a week or two before. But it will not be counted, it will not be open. They will seal it and keep it.
The military, the security services,
everyone
journalists,
who will not be available will have
voting.
opportunity of early voting.
Yes.
That is in Ghana. Then, do you know the most shocking thing? The date for election in Ghana is in their constitution. So if that date falls on a Sunday,
they will vote.
They will vote.
Yes.
The election I went to observe.
Christmas Day, they will vote.
And that's what I'm telling you. In December 14, 2008,
yes.
Christmas season, Jimmy Carter even came to because it was under a center that we went. Do you know the shocking part? It was on a Sunday that day fell. And Christians never complained. They moved their service to Saturday.
But that even is better. The following election cycle in 2012, the election fell on a Sunday and on an Eid. That's and they all agreed to shift.
Nobody was fighting each other.
Eid celebration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until after the election on that day in the evening, people went to church.
It speaks to the political will. You know, the political
sometimes
will.
We are just big for nothing.
But here, if it was on a Sunday, the can will raise head.
The electoral act was amended
because of
Eid.
Yes.
Because of Eid, they say, it will fall on the holiday Ramadan.
Yes.
Meanwhile, I don't know what Ramadan has to do with voting. If you want to do Ramadan, you want to fast, you vote and go back. Your break of fast iftar is in the evening, around 7 p.m. So why should you move? And that's how they cut 60 days away from the initial days. It was supposed to be 360 days that INEC should get funding and then the notification. They now move it to 300 days, all because of religious sentiment.
So if there's another cycle like in 4 years or something, because date changes and all of that, and something happens again,
they will
would we now amend it to 250
No, they
days?
would.
Or would
Nigeria will amend. Because we pander to religious sentiments too much. Nigeria will amend their law. I was so shocked to my marrow when that excuse came. Do you know that INEC also have to shift this Osun election? It was supposed to be on August 8. They shifted it because of Osun Osogbo Festival. Yeah, Osun Osogbo Festival last Saturday.
Just ended.
No, it held on. But you know, they have to move it by 1 week. I'm not saying it's for the adherents of different religion, but this Even in Saudi Arabia, some of those public holidays we observe, do you know they don't observe it there? Religious festival that will shut down the economy. Yesterday, Governor Adeleke have to declare public holiday for Osun people because of today's election. I recall in 2007, Obasanjo declared 2 days of public holiday because of presidential election, Thursday and Friday, preceding the presidential election. Why do you have to do that?
And several states, they have had to shut down governments.
Do you know the consequence,
business,
financial
and all that?
implication
For people
of shutting down government business for one day?
People to just go and collect their voters' cards.
Yeah.
You shut down a whole state.
For a country that is not even productive in the first place, then you are saying that we should just shut down and lose productivity and even man hours.
Anybody that is passing through, and you know that's Abuja, that's a north to south route. Anybody passing through Osun State now will not have a safe passage until evening.
Yes,
because of
until
the
after
shutdown.
elections, yes.
Because when you are coming from Ondo State, whether you are coming through or you are coming through or through Ekiti, you cannot move through Osun because of this election. And look at the loss of man hours. Already, without that lockdown, without that restriction, it takes an average of 12 to 14 hours traveling from Abuja to Ibadan or to Lagos. Now, with this lockdown, people are going to sleep over.
Yes.
Except the security agents uses their wisdom to say, okay, if you are traveling, you can move, but you cannot move into the towns. But who did this to us?
We did it to ourselves.
That's a big question. We did it to ourselves.
We did it to ourselves.
It's not like that elsewhere.
And we can change if we want to.
Do you know in Kenya, 2022 election in Kenya, prisoners voted.
It's a civic.
Prisoners voted.
Well, yes.
In Kenya, Kenyans in 12 other countries of the world, Kenyans in diaspora voted. If you are in UK, Canada, Germany,
Yes.
All the adjoining countries to Kenya, you have a right to vote. Kenya, that is 1/6 of.
But Kenya is a very
Nigerian population.
politically aware country.
So when we advocate for some of these things,
let me put it
it's
that way.
not a rocket science. It's what Niger would do election. Nigerians in Nigeria will vote in Nigeria. They don't have to go to Niamey. They don't have to go to Timbuktu. They have early voting provision.
Those are issues of law. Diaspora voting. We have not
A very high court in Abuja has, since 2006, said that Nigerians in diaspora should be allowed to vote. It is only our National Assembly that have not developed the political will.
Which is what
to
I'm
do the
saying.
needful.
It has to be legislated.
Exactly.
Properly. And even that of prisoners, all of that will have to be legislated. If it's not legislated, it cannot be operationalized.
That's what I was talking about, political will, because, for instance, the issue you mentioned about people not needing PVCs to vote, every Nigerian above 18 has a BVN.
Yeah.
As an NIN.
Yes.
All of these can be merged,
Yeah,
or you
in
can
one
even
card.
just use
Just
one card to vote.
Yeah.
That's part of, because when we then complain of voter turnout, when I have a BVN and I have an NIN, I have to then go and do another registration to get another card to vote.
But this is the issue about integrating
all the data.
The data.
The
in
database.
country.
President
All right,
Buhari
let's
gave
get
that
back.
mandate over 5 years
Yes,
ago.
but nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
All right, let's get back to Adesunya, who is Olusola Adesunya, our correspondent, who has moved to another location in Ede North. Is he in Ede North now or in Ede South? Adesunya, thank you so much for your time. Where are you? Olusola, are you with us? Olusola Adesunya, are you with us? Well, we'll reconnect with him as soon as he's ready to rejoin us. Right. Yes, Sheyi?
Yes, there was an issue I was going to raise earlier about remote area coverage, where the journalist on ground mentioned the presence of security officials, but no observers or no EFCC officials on ground. From the civil society angle, I know that the Nigerian Civil Society Coalition, there's a coalition that spreads. However, because of security issues or threats, the observation may not be as widespread as it should be. But on the other hand, for the EFCC, you know that in times past, we have had incidents and cases where police officers will say it is not within their mandate to stop vote buying. And that's why the EFCC had to be incorporated into election coverage. So when we are looking for incidences of vote buying, and Mr. Ojo mentioned earlier that is in those remote areas that the elections are fixed and all the shenanigans happen. So those are places that we should watch out for when the results start coming out.
And of course, the EFCC numerical strength, it cannot be compared to that of the police.
Of course.
So they can't cover every area.
So again, the question is, if the police is on ground, why can't they stop vote buying?
That's a valid question. Anyway, Olushola is back with us. Olushola is at another location within the Ede metropolis. Go ahead.
At this particular polling unit, and this is one of the largest polling units here in the local government, and the polling unit is Orisumi Bari, Atajue, here in the local government area of Osun State. As we see here, we have been here for quite some minutes now. We have a large turnout of voters here in this particular polling unit. This particular polling unit had to be one of the polling units where we have a lot of this particular polling unit. I can count up to more than 10 security agencies, from the men of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the DSS, the Nigerian Police. Even I had to capture some men from the Nigerian prison here at this particular polling unit. And people who have been going about casting their ballot. The Beavers machine, I must say, has been working, impressively. It has been impressive so far. There have not been issues with the ballot, the BVC. I mean, with the BVC, Beavers machine. And so far, so good. We have some of the people, some of the voters who have cast their ballots. Right beside me here is this elderly man who has cast his ballot earlier on at this particular polling unit. Can we meet your full name, please?
Dr. Bright Mohamedi.
Dr. Bright, when at exact time did you cast your vote?
Probably some minutes past. Okay, something to 9 in the morning.
Okay, and how was the process, the Beavers machine and the conduct of INEC officials?
It was seamless. The conduct was friendly and without any hitch as far as mine was concerned. I did the Beavers machine, captured my face, seamlessly without any issue. Though there were some that took some time, we don't know why, but after those ones were resolved, only one person that I know that his face couldn't be captured. Fingerprint couldn't be captured. So I don't know whether that was the fault of the machine or the fault of the human being. So, but generally, everything has been going on very smoothly here.
How old are you, if I may ask?
Why are you asking me how old I am?
Well, because I know that you are aged. What motivated you to cast it? What motivated you to come out to cast your ballot?
I'm a man of 69.
69. How do you think we can improve on our electoral system in Nigeria?
Yes. Number one thing is for the electorate not to go and be violent because of politicians. Politicians come and go. And it's only during the voting period that politicians go to people and ask them to come and do some rubbish things for them. So electorate should learn that politicians hide their children, hide their relatives, and then ask them to come and sacrifice their own life for them. So they should resist that. And again, to INEC, I want to speak to them that what we are still doing here is still backward compared to what is happening. I've voted other places in the world.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much for your time. We have to talk to some of the people that are still waiting on the queue to cast their ballot. Thank you for your time, and God bless you. All right, thank you very much. We have so many observers here on ground, but let me quickly go to some of the people. They are seated. Most of the people seated under this tent are the aged, and they are waiting patiently to cast their ballot. They have been given chairs to sit down. They are not stressed, and they are anxiously waiting. They are vowed that even if it take them to be the last man standing, they want to cast their ballot. Let me talk to some of them here under this tent. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I want me to see your full name, sir.
My full name is Apostle Adebayo Olajide Pebo.
So how long have you been waiting here to cast your ballot?
To be sincere, I've been waiting here for almost 2 hours now to vote.
So far so good. What have you noticed so far?
I noticed that everything is very calm. There is no problem. I can give kudos to INEC officials and all observers and party agents. They were all doing very fine, and we have given them an advice how to move things fast, and thank God they have heed to our advice. Things is moving better now than it was before.
Thank you very much for your time. We just spoke to an aged man there waiting to cast his ballot, and you can see from the lens of our camera that people are still casting their ballots. The officials of INEC are conducting themselves in an orderly manner, and the PVAS machine at this particular place that you can see, they're trying to capture a voter with a PVAS machine to know probably if to capture his face, and I think the PVAS machine has captured her, and she's going to collect the ballot to cast, a vote for the candidate of her choice. As you can see from our lens, you see so many of these agents.
We may have to move from you now and get back to Ikire, where the APC governorship candidate, Ambo, is voting or has arrived at his polling station to vote. Let's go over there and see what's happening. Okay, so this is several hours after the elections voting kicked off, and this candidate is just getting to his polling station. Of course, we saw the governor come very early.
I think it was at about 8:30.
About 8:30, yes, 8:32, yes. Just a few minutes after elections or voting started. Yeah. Very prompt and all of that. I hope that we see the ADC candidate too at his polling unit and see what the situation is going to be like. Well,
the other thing, let me come to Sheyi here. Yes. From what we've been seeing, I don't know, you would have noticed that there's been so many women on the queue. When it comes to the electoral process or decision, you see a lot of, you see Mr. Ojo is laughing. You see that a lot of women
cannot feel this.
Yes, women are front liners in terms of voting, but it hasn't really even translated. I think for this Osun thing, I think it's just only one deputy, one woman as a deputy governor. What does it really say in terms of women participation? Because all the tents we've seen, what I noticed here is that there are more women. Samara is not speaking. Jide is not also talking again because
you are asking a question, right? No, there's people in Ekiti. Yeah. We saw a lot of women and young people.
Young people, yes.
Right?
Let me even shock you. Osun State, Ikire precisely, produced the first female speaker for Nigeria. Patricia Olubumiete.
Okay, yes,
she's from Ikire. She's from Ikire. Hey, so it's just then Omidiran, yes. Omidiran Babes,
football club,
yes. Football club owner, and she's now the chairperson of FCC, Federal Character Commission. She's also from Ikire. She's also an Amazon. The point is that it's a national phenomenon where women are not integrated into decision-making process. more often than not, they play, they are made to play second fiddle. Osun has only had, to the best of my knowledge, I think Osun has only had one female deputy governor, Erele Olushola Obada. I stand to be corrected. Out of all, unlike other states like Ekiti that have had about 3-4 female deputy governor, including the incumbent. Unfortunately, the incumbent is a male. The one with Oyetola is a male. Omishoro to Bisa Kode is a male. The only one I remember is Olushola Obada, who was a female deputy governor to Oyinlola. So it's part of why we need legal reform. In Uganda, when I went to Uganda to observe election, say what you want. Talk about Yoweri Museveni being a dictator, being a life president, and all of that. Do you know that they consciously, mainstreamed women into their constitution? Every electoral district in Uganda produced one woman. Then they reserve seats for the military, defense and military. 10 seats were reserved. 2 of those sentences must be for women.
Okay, Jide, let's come. Sheyi will come back because both of us are the only women on this panel, so we'll have to get that.
No, it's people.
I saw that intentionally. I wanted to. You saw the bed. Anyway, let's go back to Funke. Funke is still in Ilesha. I hope we can get Funke's network right now. Funke, over to you if you can hear us.
Okay.
Okay, wait.
We can hear you.
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
So fire on.
I'm at Ajimoko. I'm at Ajimoko High School here in Ilesha, and of course Ijesha, Ilesha local government area. As I stated earlier, that the voting strength here is over 200 here. And the turnout is very impressive. We've visited over 8 communities so far, and the turnout was very, very massive compared to the 2022 election. Here, they say they have about 50 additional voters here at this unit here. But what is so very, very area of concern for us here, when we get to this school here, the gate there was shut. That's the gate over there. Vehicles are not permitted to get entrance into this area. Reasons best known to the authority of the school, and we're able to talk to the army officer here and of course the policeman deployed to this unit. He said they've asked the school authority, they gave no strong reasons. Meanwhile, this gate was open for vehicles to move in here. The reason is yet to be known, but the security personnel said they didn't give the reason when they asked, why did you have to shut the gate? On election day, there was an elderly woman who told me she cannot jump the fence to come in here. We have to assist her to find her way into this premises here. And there is another way, that one footpath over there, where that is the area where many are coming in from here. And what we've observed so far in the polling unit we visited, the beavers is now the problem for many, especially the elderly. And I was able to talk to a 104-year-old man who was able to cast his vote. After about 4 elderly, the beavers cannot capture 4 elderly persons, and they had to stay and promise that they are definitely going to wait behind patiently to ensure they vote. These are the voters. They are so excited to participate in this election, and they said they will cast their vote for their preferable candidates to change the state of Osun for what they want so far. And of course, I'm able to talk to, I have election observer here with me, who will join us shortly after this. Okay. So these are the people, you can see them. Look at them here, they're so excited to vote. Baba, hello. They're so excited. Are you excited to be here to vote? Yes. You're happy to vote, to be part of this exercise. So When did you get to this place? What time did you get to this place?
I've been here for the past 2 hours.
So what happened? What is happening here?
Nothing. This place is peaceful.
It's peaceful.
Yes.
And you're excited to be part of it.
Yes.
But you've not voted. You've not.
I have not.
You've not participated in the election. Okay. Now let's put our camera inside and show you what is actually happening here. About the election materials.
Everything. Yes, everything is here.
Okay.
We are available here around 7:00 with election materials and officers.
Talk some voters there who have really participated in the exercise so far. And they complain about the beavers. What do you have to say?
No, actually, our own beavers is not having issue at all. It's okay with us because it's working perfectly. We don't have any issue with beavers. So no problem here.
Okay. What's your strength so far? Because some of the people here we met, they said they are yet to pick up their vote. Of course, been delayed.
No, it's not delayed. It's not delayed.
Been here for 2 hours.
Yes, actually, is that when we get here, when we are about to launch to beavers, it's giving us some issue there. So later we call our observer, which is Ratel, is now attend to us. So once everything is done, we started casting votes. Yes. Security, everything is okay. No problem.
Thank you very much. And we have election observer here with us. And let's just excuse me. This is Adebu Soyi from Enough is Enough. Is an election observer. He has visited 1 or 2 polling units this morning. Let him just tell us what he has observed so far. Tell us what you've observed so far.
So far, we have visited about 3 polling units in Ward 5 of Ilesha West, and what we have realized is there are a large turnout of voters, unlike what we planned. What we have initially thought was just because of the killings in the past 48 hours in Ilesha West, we thought people would not be coming out to vote, but people came out to vote, and the experience so far is that voters are struggling to vote just because there's only one beavers machine. Most especially in the polling units I am, about 1,000 voters are expected to vote today, but only one beavers machine is working. So we actually thought maybe about 2 to 3 beavers machines will be here, so voting can go seamlessly and faster. So we expect that voting will go past 2:30 p.m. But we are so sure, just like what the electoral officers have told us, they said anybody that is on queue by 2:30 would at least be voting. So we have seen that everything is going so fine, and people are actually being comfortable with the fact that their expectation is that they want to vote, no matter the timing, they still want to vote. They are going to be on queue, but we expect that things will go fine. For security operations too, this place is safe, unlike what we planned. Everywhere is safe. Voting is going seamlessly. Everybody is feeling comfortable. High tension zone, especially at this polling unit.
Let's talk about what you say. This place is safe. 2 persons have died in the last 48 hours in Ijesha. Look at which is as if this place is like a red alert for now. What is the observation since regarding that? Because we are surprised that people sit on despite the killing.
Yes. What we realized is people were sensitized that on election day they will be safe. They will be able to come out and vote, and that is part of what we have seen today. We never expected that there will be large turnout, just as we have seen, and we have a lot of people who are now coming in. We have traditional rulers, we have religious leaders who came out to vote. People turning out in large numbers to say yes, compulsory they must vote in this election, and despite the fact that we had 2 people who died in the last 48 hours, we still see that people are still coming out to vote. They have the assurance that on the election day they are safe. Whatever that might be happening, the killings, the unnecessary arrests that is going on in the news, that will not be done on the election day. And so far, we have not gotten anything different. Everything has been fine, everything has been safe.
Hello, okay, let's see. We have the traditional ruler of Ijesha here with me here, and let's just ask him some few questions. Good morning, sir. How are you? Let's say our viewers are English. Let's communicate. So how is it going with what the traditional ruler? They said 2 persons have died so far. Our major that's in the last few hours. Killing potential and even for now. What is happening?
ọ̀rọ̀ àníbẹ̀ ẹ̀sìn òkú sọ́ra kan níbi ara àtọ̀ tí a gbọ́ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ sẹ́yìn ibẹ̀ kò ṣẹlẹ̀ mọ́ ní ìsinmi nígbà wo bí ìbò fún ẹ̀ tó ní fẹ́ẹ́ sí ní ìsinmi kò sí wàhálà kan.
àwọn activities pàtàkì jẹ́ síbi báyìí sí kí ni àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ ti observe àwọn ọ̀dọ́ àwọn obìnrin àtọkùnrin bíbá tó ṣiṣẹ́ bọ́ọ̀lù ṣe ń control how are you controlling them how are you talking to them to sensitize them to stay away from violence especially electoral violence.
àwọn kan gbọ́n tó tó ara wọn fún nǹkan tó fi sọ fún ojú ìfẹ́ tó wù wọ́n kò sí wàhálà kan ẹgbẹ́ ìdìbò ẹgbẹ́ kan jà so àwọn jẹ́ wà àwọn adúfún rẹ̀ ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ so kò sí wàhálà kan ní ìgbà.
àwọn ọlọ́pàá nǹkan are they doing their job? àti ìjẹta since 3 days now.
èmi ọ̀rọ̀ ni mo lè sọ nípa àná ọ̀jẹ̀ta bọ̀ níta àwọn ti peace wà bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́pàá ṣe bí iṣẹ́ náà àwọn ọkọ̀ ìdìbò ẹ̀ tó bá wù wọ́n kò sí wàhálà kan.
so kí ló dé tí wọ́n fi ti gate why did they shut the gate since you are the ruler here.
àwọn school wọn ni authority àgbẹ̀rẹ̀ ti gate wọn ọkàn sí gate wọn wọ́n ti gate wọn tẹ́tẹ́lẹ̀ tó má jẹ́ pé ìjọba fún school ní ọjà pẹ̀sì gate wọn á ti gate wọn níta tó dìbò lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó dẹ̀ ọ́ àgbẹ̀rẹ̀ tó máa fi káwọn school wọn sí school wọn lọ́sùn wọn wọ́n ti lè ti bẹ́ẹ̀ tó àwọn tó máa àrídò òkú tó máa káàkiri school wọn ti school wọn ìjọba tó yí ìbò àbúmọ̀ kan o.
nǹkan tí military àwọn ọlọ́pàá sọ fún wa that's what the security people told us pé àwọn ọmọ bèrè lọ school ọtọ́ sí ìtìpínlẹ̀ tó fi ti gate.
ó ti ẹ̀ka yẹn bí ẹ̀kọ́ ló di ọjọ́ òní yóò ní bó ti máa ti skul ẹ̀yìn ìyẹ̀wò kan ẹ̀gbọ́n tí wọ́n wọn lè má rí mọ́ wọ́n ti bí ìbò ń lọ bó ṣe yẹ kó lọ kó sí wàrà kankan rárá àtọ̀.
Now what he said in Yoruba is that the reason why they shut the gate that this gate has not been open for some time now that is not because of the election and of course he said the killings there is ensuring that the youth he talked to the youth advised them that everything is going on peacefully and definitely he will ensure that there is no breakdown of law here. Nancy.
Thank you very much. Shay, let's come back because we've got to go now. Yes, thank you, Funke. Thank you. We've just got to go, so we just have like 25 seconds to round this up, or 30 seconds. We're talking about the female. I want you to speak on it just briefly. Then, I think also this Osun State election is the second litmus test about the Electoral Act 2026 before 2027. So round up on that very quickly.
Well, yes.
That's after Ekiti in June.
In June, yes. So, well, the issue of female participation in politics in Nigeria, there is a school of thought that believes that politics in Nigeria is a men's club or is a boys' club, and women are just enablers. So they just bring them in to tidy up some things. And as we were talking about, even in this Osun election, you have the Erarike character that we mentioned that has played a very significant role in this election. But for some reason, women are not represented on the ballot. So it's not just about creating reserved seats. It's also about enlightenment and orientation and reorientation of people that women can be trusted. If you can trust a woman to be in your house, you can trust her with power.
Okay. Jide, the question around Electoral Act 2026, a litmus test, very quickly.
Well, it is a litmus. I think we are getting familiar with the implementation gradually. We hope things will remain peaceful. That was the biggest concern of the day. None of your reporters have been able to report any act of vote trading. We hope it does not exist. We don't want to start reading tomorrow that even though the Punch newspaper is saying there is a battle of 20,000 between Accord and APC. But we just hope and appeal to Osun Indigi. They still have some 3-4 hours to cast their ballot. They should come out en masse. They should determine their next governor. Whether they want continuity or change is in their hands. INEC has assured that their vote will count, and we want to give INEC benefit of that.
All right. One very good thing so far from all the reports we have gotten is the fact that in spite of the pre-election violence, we've not seen or heard of any case of violence.
The only thing I heard is the Speaker of Osun State House of Assembly, whose residence was allegedly sealed off by the security agencies. That is structural and psychological violence. Okay. It may not have led to bloodshed, but I think security should offer explanation.
At the end of the day, politics is local, so we can determine the safety more than the indigent.
So what a beautiful place to live in. And that's it on this time belt. Yes, this segment, of course, because Our Osun voters are still going to the polls to decide continuity or change, just like Jide mentioned. We will resume our election coverage back at 1 p.m.
1 p.m.,
Not
right.
me and Imoni again.
No.
Another of our colleagues. We've done our bit. So,
But we must thank Jide
Yes.
Ojo, Oja Development Initiative.
is it Oja or Oja?
OJ Development Company.
OJA
OJA,
Development
not
It's
Company.
acronym of 3 names.
Okay, so
OJ
not
Development
OJ.
Company.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you very much. And Seyi Awodurugbe, who is a research analyst with the Center for Democracy and Development.
Thank you
It's
very
good to have both of you on. Yes.
Our pleasure.
Right, that's our time here on Osun election coverage. Like you heard from Nancy, our colleagues will be here at 1 p.m. to update you on developments and get a lot more reports from Osun State. For now, have a nice time. Bye-bye.
The stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on Live TV Studio.